Have you ever wondered what just 7 days could do to the course of your life? What if a few small intentional actions, done consistently, could completely reshape the way you think, feel, and live? Today, I'm going to share with you 7 powerful life shifts that did exactly that for me. Not over months or years, but in a single week. These aren't generic self-help tips. These are real, raw, and lived experiences. Habits I committed to with both resistance and hope. And the change was nothing short of remarkable. Whether you're here because you feel stuck, scattered, or simply curious, trust me, there's something here that might just flip a switch inside you. Grab a drink, get comfortable, and let's dive in. You're about to discover practical, honest, and deeply personal insights that have the power to completely change the rhythm of your everyday life. Let's begin. Habit 1. Wake up early. Claim the morning before the world does. Let me tell you something straight. I used to hate mornings. My relationship with the snooze button, unhealthy at best. Mornings were a blur of rushing, skipping breakfast, and always feeling one step behind. But one day, I made a bold decision. I decided to become a morning person, even if it felt completely unnatural at first, and it wasn't easy. That first week felt like war. I was groggy, cranky, and constantly tempted to slide right back under the covers. But I pushed through. And by day 3, something shifted. There's a kind of magic in the early hours, when the world is still and the sky is painted with soft light. There's space to breathe, to think, to begin your day instead of being chased by it. I started setting my alarm for 5 a.m., not because it sounded cool, but because I craved structure. I used those quiet hours to move my body gently, stretching or going on a short walk, just enough to wake my senses. Then I would meditate for a few minutes and set clear intentions for my day. It wasn't perfect, but it was deliberate. And it changed everything. One morning I watched the sunrise in silence from my balcony. As the golden light spilled across the horizon, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Gratitude, clarity, and peace. That moment sealed it for me. Waking up early gave me the gift of time, not just more hours, but better ones. I was more prepared, more patient, and more present. If you're not a morning person, that's okay. Start with just 15 minutes earlier. Give yourself permission to evolve gradually. The point isn't to torture yourself with a strict routine, it's to claim space for you before the noise of the world begins. Habit 2. Daily movement. Move your body, shift your mind. Let me be honest, exercise and I didn't have the best history. I used to come up with every excuse in the book. I'm too tired. I'll start tomorrow. I'm just not the athletic type. Sound familiar? But one day I decided to stop negotiating with myself. I gave myself a 1-week challenge. Move every single day, no matter what. Not to get ripped or burn calories, but to see what would happen if I simply showed up for my body with consistency. I didn't join a fancy gym. I didn't follow a complicated plan. I kept it simple. 20 minutes a day, sometimes yoga, sometimes a jog, sometimes just a walk in the park with music in my ears. The point wasn't intensity. It was consistency. The first few days were rough. My muscles ached. My mind resisted. But around day 4, something shifted. I woke up with energy I hadn't felt in weeks. I smiled more. I felt lighter, not just physically but emotionally. That's when I realized movement isn't just physical, it's mental medicine. One morning I laced up my sneakers and stepped outside just as the sun was rising. The air was crisp, the world still quiet, and with every step I took, it felt like I was releasing tension I didn't even know I was holding. It was me, the road, and the rhythm of my breath. Pure presence. I also noticed changes in my posture, in my sleep, and most importantly, in my mindset. Moving my body became an act of self-respect, not punishment. It was a way of saying, I matter enough to take care of myself. Trying something new like yoga also changed my relationship with my body. At first I felt awkward and inflexible, but with each breath, each stretch, I started listening to what my body needed instead of pushing it. That shift from force to flow was transformative. If you're like I was, waiting for motivation or the right time, stop waiting. Start small. Start where you are. A 5-minute stretch, a walk around your block, a dance break between emails. Your body doesn't need perfection, it needs your attention. And when you show up for your body, you'll be amazed at how your mind begins to shift too. Habit 3. Journaling. Meet the real you. I used to think journaling was a waste of time, something reserved for poets or people with nothing better to do. I had a fast-paced life, full of things to handle, deadlines to meet, and constant distractions. Who had time to sit and write about their feelings? But I was wrong. When I finally gave journaling an honest try just 10 minutes before bed for a week, it unlocked something powerful. At first I simply wrote about what happened during my day, but soon the page became a mirror. I started to see my thought patterns, recurring fears, quiet dreams, and untold frustrations. It became a sacred space where I could say anything without judgment. The act of writing forced me to slow down and really feel what I'd been suppressing all day. That one simple ritual, pen to paper, became my therapy, my clarity, and my compass. There was a night I remember vividly. I had a terrible day at work. My mind was racing with anger and self-doubt. I picked up my notebook, and instead of just venting, I asked myself, why did that moment hurt so much? What did it trigger in me? I found answers on that page that I had buried for years. Another thing I added to my journal was a gratitude corner. Every night, no matter how tired or stressed I felt, I'd write down 3 things I was grateful for. They weren't always big things. Sometimes it was just the smell of my coffee, a text from a friend, or a sunset I caught on the way home. But those moments grounded me. They reminded me that even in the chaos, beauty existed. I also used journaling to track small wins. I cooked instead of ordering out. I didn't check my phone first thing in the morning. I spoke kindly to myself. Writing these down gave me a sense of momentum. I was no longer sleepwalking through life. I was documenting the slow and steady rise of my self-awareness. Journaling doesn't need rules or structure. Just start. Even one sentence is enough. You're not writing for likes or applause. You're writing to hear your own voice again. And once you hear it, you'll never want to lose that connection again. Habit 4. Mindful eating. Respect what nourishes you. Before this habit, I treated food like a background process, something I did while watching Netflix, scrolling Instagram, or answering emails. I didn't taste it. I didn't enjoy it. I just consumed it, mindlessly. Trying mindful eating for 1 week completely rewired the way I approached meals. Instead of treating food as fuel, I began treating it as an experience. Each meal became a ritual. I'd set the table even if I was eating alone. I'd take a few deep breaths before my first bite, and then I'd actually taste the food, notice the texture, the smell, the warmth, and something beautiful happened. Food started to satisfy me again. I realized that I had been overeating not because I needed more food, but because I wasn't really present while eating. My brain didn't register satisfaction because my attention was elsewhere. But when I slowed down and paid attention, I needed less and enjoyed more. I remember one afternoon, eating a simple salad. Normally, I would have inhaled it. But this time, I chewed slowly, noticing the crunch of the cucumbers, the bitterness of the arugula, and the tang of the vinaigrette. It wasn't fancy, but it was fulfilling. This awareness also helped me notice emotional eating patterns. Was I hungry? Or just anxious? Was I reaching for snacks because I was bored or because I was avoiding something? Once I started pausing before every bite and asking why, I stopped using food to escape. I began using it to connect. Mindful eating helped me respect my body again, not through restriction but through presence. It's not about counting calories or cutting carbs. It's about honoring the act of nourishing yourself. Even if you start with one mindful meal a day, it can ripple out into every area of your life. Because when you treat yourself with care during the most basic act of eating, you're training yourself to live with deeper attention in everything you do. Habit 5. Limit screen time. Reclaim your mental space. This one was hard. Like most people, I had developed a toxic relationship with my phone. I reached for it first thing in the morning and last thing at night. Every spare second was filled with scrolling, swiping, watching, reacting. It was numbing, and I didn't even realize it until I stopped. I decided to set a limit. No more than 1 hour of non-essential screen time per day. That meant no mindless YouTube binging, no Instagram rabbit holes, and no late-night news loops. The first 2 days were brutal. I kept catching myself reaching for my phone without thinking, at red lights, during meals, even in conversations. That realization alone shook me. I had become so disconnected from the real world and I didn't even notice. But then something miraculous happened. I got my time back. With fewer distractions, my days suddenly felt longer. I found myself reading books again, calling people instead of texting, walking without headphones, staring at the sky, not a screen. Life in all its rawness returned to me. And the silence. Oh, the silence. At first it was uncomfortable, but then it became sacred. In that silence I had thoughts again. I could hear my own intuition, my creativity, my dreams. They had been drowned out by noise for so long. I also started sleeping better. Without the blue light or the anxiety-triggering doom scroll before bed, my mind began to relax. I fell asleep faster and I woke up feeling human. One of my favorite new rituals became journaling in a cafe with just a pen and notebook. No Wi-Fi. Just me, the sounds of life around me, and the gentle unfolding of thoughts on paper. It was grounding in a way that no app could ever replicate. I'm not anti-technology, but I am pro-awareness, and limiting screen time gave me my awareness back. My relationships became deeper, my presence became sharper, and most importantly, my attention returned to where life actually happens, in the now. Habit 6. Practicing stillness. Create space for inner wisdom. In a world addicted to motion, stillness can feel like a threat. I used to fill every waking moment with stimulation, music in the background, a podcast on during walks, checking, my phone in every pause between tasks. Silence made me uncomfortable, as if I'd be left alone with thoughts I wasn't ready to face. But then I tried something different. I gave myself 5 minutes a day to just sit in stillness. No phone, no noise, no input. At first it was awkward. My mind raced. I fidgeted. I kept thinking, this is a waste of time. But something inside me knew I needed this space, not to escape from the world, but to reconnect with myself. And slowly, it happened. The noise began to settle. My breath deepened. My nervous system softened. In those quiet moments, I felt emotions that had been buried beneath busyness, sadness, fatigue, hope, longing. It was like meeting myself for the first time in a long while. One day, while sitting quietly by the window, I watched the light fall across the floor and realized how rarely I noticed beauty in simple things. Stillness gave me back that sensitivity, that presence, that awareness of life as it unfolds, rather than life as I control it. Practicing stillness doesn't mean meditating for hours or going off-grid. It means allowing space in your day where you don't perform, you just are. It could be sipping tea while watching the sunrise, sitting under a tree, closing your eyes for 5 minutes in silence. These moments of non-doing became my anchor. When the world felt too heavy, I had somewhere to return to, inside myself. Stillness taught me that productivity means nothing if you're disconnected from your own soul. It's not about stopping life. It's about feeling life. Habit 7. Daily intentions. Live with direction, not distraction. This habit was deceptively simple, but radically powerful. Every morning, before checking my phone or opening my laptop, I took 1 minute to write a single sentence. My intention for the day. Not a task. Not a goal. An intention. Today, I will move with kindness. Today I will listen without needing to respond. Today, I will stay grounded when things feel chaotic. Today, I will speak to myself like someone I love. That sentence became my compass. Throughout the day, when distractions pulled me off course, I returned to that quiet commitment I made to myself in the morning. It wasn't about being perfect. It was about remembering who I wanted to be. Setting intentions gave my days emotional structure. It reminded me that I had agency, not over circumstances, but over how I chose to meet them. And that choice, that inner alignment, unchanged everything. I remember a day when everything seemed to go wrong. Meetings ran late, my plans fell apart, my energy was drained. But my intention that morning had been, today I will remain calm no matter what. And that sentence echoed in my mind like a lifeline. I breathed. I reset. I didn't spiral. That one decision, made in a quiet moment of clarity, carried me through the chaos. Daily intentions aren't about manifesting or magical thinking. They're about living on purpose. They're about bringing mindfulness into the ordinary moments, because life is made of ordinary moments. When you anchor your days with intention, you stop being a victim of time and start becoming the author of your life. The journey begins. Now, so there you have it. 7 simple habits that truly changed my life in just 1 week. Not because I became a different person overnight, but because I began showing up for myself, one choice at a time. These weren't grand gestures. They were quiet, consistent acts of self-respect. And over time, they created a new rhythm, a new mindset, a new me. Maybe one of these habits spoke to you, maybe several. Whatever it is, I invite you to start small. Pick one. Try it for a few days. Let it grow roots. Watch what happens. Not just on the outside, but within you. Because when we live with intention, when we return to ourselves with gentleness and honesty, we create a life that feels like ours. Not one we're just surviving, but one we're actually shaping. If any of this resonated with you, I'd be honored to walk this path with you. Please consider subscribing to Stoic Voyage, where we explore timeless wisdom, emotional clarity, and everyday transformation. Your support helps us grow this community. It means more than you know. Until next time, keep showing up. Keep evolving. Keep walking your Stoic Voyage.